Hans von Spakovsky is a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, and Julian Epstein is former legal counsel to the House Judiciary Committee and a Democratic campaign consultant and a former staff director for the House Government Reform Committee. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
So, Hans, I'll start with you. Two immigration bills we're talking about that need to be voted on. We talked about Kate's Law and then also the No Sanctions for Criminals Act. Hans?
Yeah, both of those laws make very much needed changes in our federal immigration laws that will make it will enhance our ability to enforce our immigration laws. I mean, Kate's Law in particular, I don't know how anyone with a conscience could be against that law, because it will try to keep people from repeatedly coming into the country illegally. If that law had been in place, Kate Steinle would be alive today.
Yeah, let's listen to what Kate Steinle's dad had to say when he was testifying back in 2015.
Suddenly a shot rang out. Kate fell and looked at me and said, "Help me, Dad." We feel if Kate's Law saves one daughter, one son, a mother, a father, Kate's death won't be in vain.
So, Julian, tackling these two bills, important and expected to receive some bilateral support.
Bipartisan support,
Bipartisan.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's no question that we want to crack down on violent crime, whether it occurs in immigrant communities or non-immigrant communities. And President Obama made going after criminal behavior in immigrant communities a top priority, both in terms of prosecution and deportation. There's no question we should be tougher on that, but I think there are some politics going on here, given that this is a president who, by all indications, is under criminal investigation, whose health care law now seems to be on the proposal now seems to be on the ropes and failing in the Senate. And this looks like an attempt to kind of change the subject. The idea that immigrant populations and sanctuary citizens are hotbeds of crime is just wrong. Immigrant populations, as a matter of statistics, commit fewer crimes than non-immigrant populations do.
I don't think anyone's talking about that, though. They're talking about illegal immigrants who commit crimes and then are deported and then come back and then commit more crime.
And there's no question that there should be a tough crackdown on that. But in sanctuary cities, for example, the president's rhetoric would suggest that those are hotbeds of criminal activity as well. And in sanctuary cities, the criminal violent crime is about 15% less, and organized police organizations are opposed to local police becoming basically immigration cops.
One of the things that you said there is that, you know, that it's a fact that the president is under a criminal investigation. That's one of many reasons that the president and his constituents are constantly talking about fake news, and it got a little bit contentious during yesterday's on-cam White House briefing. Brian Karem from the Sentinel newspapers, he lit into the Deputy White House Press Secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, for the administration's constant criticism of the media and the fake news.
You're inflaming everybody right here, right now with those words. This administration has done that as well. Why in the name of heavens? Any one of us, right, are replaceable, and any one of us, if we don't get it right, the audience has the opportunity to turn the channel or not read us. You have been elected to serve for 4 years at least. There's no option other than that. We're here to ask you questions. Right. You're here to provide the answers. And what you just did is inflammatory to people all over the country who look at it and say, see, once again, the president's right and everybody else out here is fake media. And everybody in this room is only trying to do their job.
Well, I disagree completely. First of all, I think if anything has been inflamed, it's the dishonesty that often takes place by the news media. And I think it is outrageous for you to accuse me of inflaming a story when I was simply trying to respond to his question.
Hans, let me go to you, because speaking of the inflammatory rhetoric, it seems to be okay for the media. Julian, you're just an example of that, saying that the president is under criminal investigation, but it's not okay for the president to fight back on that. Hans?
Well, I agree with that, and let's be clear. One of the things that came out of the Comey hearing was that the president was not under investigation.
Incorrect.
So please,
That's
let's not come up with fake news now.
That's false.
And what kind of problem do we have? What kind of problems have we had? We have had 3 reporters at CNN resign because of a false story. We have had numerous anonymous sources conning media like the New York Times. Another thing that came out of the Comey testimony was that the big story that everybody leaped on, that the New York Times ran, claiming there had been regular meetings between Trump campaign people and Russian intelligence operatives, was completely false. And yet that is the kind of stories we have been seeing throughout.
But you have reporters
Hans-
like that one just there making themselves the story, because we've been talking about him all day long because of what he did in that particular press briefing. And by the way, the gaggle has started. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is actually taking questions off camera right now. And when we find out what's going on, we'll, of course, bring you more on that. But in the meantime, have to wrap you both up and appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
An intense battle in Iraq as coalition forces make their final push to liberate